Hey everybody, Tim here with today's episode of The Watchmen, Season 1, Episode 8, A God Walks Into a Bar, which is like the great setup for the joke. So first of all, this is the penultimate episode for this season. So, and I don't know, maybe even the series. There's been almost no talk about like a Season 2 or what they're going to do after this. The showrunner has said, like, if they do proceed with another season, like, he doesn't want to be involved with it. It'll almost be more like an anthology series, kind of like Castle Rock or something like that, where it's a different story with the same universe. So, I don't know, that could be really interesting. I'm really enjoying this season and just this whole story. It's just a lot of times sequels and stuff like that, especially this far from the source material, can fall flat really easily. But to me, this has been some really good writing, and it's been really interesting and really entertaining. This episode is more like backstory, answering a lot of the questions that we've had than it has been anything else. So, like with the cliffhanger from the last episode where we realize that Cal was actually John, Dr. Manhattan, and this is just kind of the whole backstory behind that, where Dr. Manhattan, a god, walks into a bar and talks to Angela. And like most of this story, most of this episode, like if you guys have read the book or seen the movie or anything, like there's parts that really focus on Dr. Manhattan and how time is more fluid for him. He is like everywhere at the same time. And that's a lot how this episode goes, where like he's talking to Angela and he's like, oh, you're going to tell me about your grandfather in 20 minutes. And then 20 minutes later, which I was disappointed it wasn't actually 20 minutes, it was like 16. She mentions it and he's like, what? And she's like, you already knew about it. And he's like, yeah, but you just told me. So stuff like that. So it's been 20 years since he supposedly went to Mars, and he's like, yeah, I'm not actually on Mars, I'm here. And he's like, actually, I didn't even go to Mars, I've been on Europa, which is a moon of Jupiter, creating life. Which is kind of funny, because then we go to like 2009, which is great because that's when the movie actually came out, and he goes to see Adrian, and that episode where Adrian escapes, and I'm like, he's not on Mars, he's on like a moon or something. Turns out I was right. He's on Europa, the moon of Jupiter. And so Dr. Manhattan goes to talk to Adrian about how he can like basically become a normal person again. And like that whole scene was a little spread thin for me, where it's like, oh, there's plan B, which is boom, and there's plan A, which is amnesia, to kind of get Dr. Manhattan to forget everything. It's okay, it's kind of interesting as he like puts the device in his head and like instantly he just becomes this new person with amnesia and everything. The whole thing of like Dr. Manhattan talking to Will like 10 years ago and talking to Angela now after he's like regained his memories is pretty interesting, where she's like, ask him why like he killed Jed and like how he knew that he had a Klan robe in his closet. And so Dr. Manhattan asks him, and Will's just like, who's Jed? And it's like, oh, Angela set this whole thing in motion accidentally, but sets the whole thing up. And then the whole ending scene, watching John like get vaporized. Do I think it actually happened? Not really. Like with this show, who knows? Like this show can do whatever they want. But we've seen Dr. Manhattan get ripped apart before, so I think we'll see him come back. I don't think it's an actual death, but we'll see. Who knows? And then this episode actually had a post-credits scene, which I think this is the first time they've done that. And it's just the whole game warden. And we find out that the game warden was the first person that Dr. Manhattan actually created, like the first atom, basically. And he's just been there the whole time. So overall, it's a great episode. It's a great series. I'm really enjoying it. I really like it. And we only got one episode left, so I'm really kind of curious to see what they tie up and what they leave open. So for those who have seen it, what did you think? Otherwise, I will see you guys next week for See How They Fly.